Hello.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like in the middle of painting our walls and Eric was like, babe, you gotta go. Like, I totally lost track of time.
No problem.
1 second. Just gonna take this off. Here we go. Okay, welcome to our back deck. There's
All
Josie.
right, there's Josie. I
So-
saw she got to run around with Rudder.
Yes, we did some introduction to water yesterday. I think she's still tired from it.
Sure.
But it was great. Yeah, we went romping around on the north side yesterday.
Good. Where was that at?
Skokie Lagoons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've not been, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, it was apparently a little bit more algae than normal yesterday.
Okay.
But the dogs were just loving it. There's tons of like trails, and she got filthy, and it was a good time was had by all.
Yeah. How was she? Did she get any loose stool or anything? Any excess peeing or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
she's fine.
Good.
Yeah. Despite I think eating everything under the sun out there, she seems fine.
Okay. Good. And how'd this week go with just training and then what you've been doing?
We've been pretty good. I haven't seen I think the times the only things that are getting annoying is like number one, the mouthiness. We're a little bit like she's getting bolder and older and like definitely getting stronger and not quite aware of how strong she is. So we are working on the corrections with that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
She seems to respond to the pet corrector most of the time, but it's not ever it's not ever for very long. Usually we have to do a few spurts at once.
Sure.
And then a few accidents every once in a while, but mostly when we're off schedule for one reason or another.
Okay. Were they usually pee accidents, poo accidents? Pee? Okay.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye on that. It's really just, it's easy to forget, the schedule, or like losing track of like, oh, like it's been an hour and a half and then she wanders off, to make a mistake or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you guys, I've made a playlist. I've been meaning to do this. I've been finding videos of dogs correcting puppies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different, like very good and different kind of mothers correcting their litters. And there's one with, it's a yellow lab, I believe, or a cream golden retriever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome because you just see all these little puppies being brats, and she just charges in and they just calm down.
Yeah.
So it'll be good for you guys to see, just to kind of help you understand like how dogs correct each other and the application of aversives and stuff like that. Okay?
Totally.
Anything else?
Other than that, I think we're pretty much on track. I mean, we've been going for walks and like she's learning. Protesting a little bit on the gentle leader, mostly I think when she's sleepy and doesn't want to keep walking.
Sure.
But like for the most part, the gentle leader has been awesome. The collar.
Yeah, I saw her wearing it like in one of Rudd's videos or something.
Yeah. We kind of just like let the dogs off the leash for a bit yesterday, and I mean we were in the middle of the woods, so it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
But yeah, when we were running around the park, I just kind of like left the leash on her. So she's fine with that. She's a mess when she's on the collar. So definitely like we're sticking to the gentle leader.
Sure.
And yeah, other than that, I think not much has changed. She's just getting bigger, and we're kind of trying to reinforce things as she like gets older. And I feel like she's still the same puppy. She's just like bigger and getting stronger and not realizing how much bigger and stronger.
Right. Yeah. They're not self-aware.
Exactly.
And that 6 months and a year are when there's real pivotal psychological shifts.
Yeah.
So like when I get puppies, like I've had clients get German Shepherd puppies and they're like, oh, it's so quiet and like the calmest puppy. And like, just wait till they're 6 months.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they find their voice and then they start barking, it's normal. You know, she's a dog.
Yeah.
But of course, I know you have your therapy dog goals and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
nothing out the ordinary can always be addressed if it becomes problematic. So
Yeah. I mean, she hasn't really even been barking. The only time she really barks is when she like really does not want to be in the crate. But other than that, she's a relatively good puppy. And she's not chewing on the carpet. Come on.
And then so today we're gonna start with like the food training and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what have you taught Josie so far?
So far, we've done sit and down and stay and leave it.
Okay. And how good is she with that stuff?
Pretty good. Generally, it sometimes takes her a few times to get into the groove of things. She'll like not be so good at her stay, but she'll stay for a while and seems to recognize now when it's okay to go get things when I do leave it. She probably does stay for, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds. And even if I'm not looking at her, if I turn around, walk around, she's definitely getting better and better at that. One thing I don't think she understands, she definitely doesn't understand the commands. But she kind of understands like what I'm asking her to do, mostly when I like take the treat away before she gets it. So she doesn't understand commands, and I think she's struggling with like when it's okay to get something. Like I don't think she necessarily understands like, okay, you're good to, she doesn't understand the break, or generally I'll just like get really excited for her and then like push a treat in her direction and she'll figure it out.
Okay, now do you have a release word?
Generally I say okay or break, sometimes at the same time.
I would pick one word.
Okay.
Make it consistent. I use break
Okay.
simply because okay is said,
Yeah.
you know, a lot with people. And in my experience, dogs can differentiate between when you're talking to someone and when you're addressing them and you say okay to them.
Yeah.
It's super rare that I've heard a dog, like seen a dog, and maybe I'll say like the word down, like in conversation, and the dog will down.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll say okay, and the dog will prematurely break. But it's like very rare, but it's more common than with the word break, because break is said less often than okay.
That's fair.
Okay. So let's go ahead and I'll have you grab some treats or whatever you use, and I'm gonna have you just show me how you work with Josie, okay?
Come here. She found a bully stick under we keep a bully stick out here just so that she doesn't be obnoxious. Come on, Josie. Ready? Okay, I'm gonna move the table over here. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe I'll move it up here. There we go. Okay, ready? You want a treat? Oh boy, get down. Okay, come here. Come on. Come on, lazy, let's go. Ready? Come on. Get down. Come on. She's dead weight. Okay, ready? Josie. Ready? Sit. Yes. Stay. Okay, good girl. That's good. Ready? Over here. Sit. Stay. Ready? Josie, leave it. Leave it. Oh. Got a little close on that one. That was my fault. That wasn't her fault. Eric's here now. Ready? Josie, look at me. Leave it. Okay, good girl. Good girl. Okay, love you too.
Can I see her? Can you do a down with her?
Yeah, come here. Come here, baby. Come over here. Ready? Sit. Good girl.
All right, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So
Can you see
we're
that?
gonna tweak a couple of things here, okay?
Yeah.
So go ahead and get a handful of treats.
Yeah. All right.
All right, and what we're gonna do here is when you were doing the verbal cue with the visual cue was coming in just a smidgen before the verbal.
Okay.
Okay. You want to reverse it,
Okay.
and you want the verbal to happen first, and then you would lure up with your hand.
Okay.
Okay, because you're creating a sequence,
Okay.
and the sequence is she smells the treat, you give the cue, and it's immediately followed by your hand going up as you did.
Mhm.
And then she knows, so she starts to associate, I hear sit, your hand goes up, I put my butt down, and then I get rewarded. So it's a sequence of events, okay?
Got it.
The next thing is, we'll ignore leave it for now, but there was a point when you had her sit, and then you said, okay, and something else happened. She kind of just, it looked more so like she prematurely broke out of the sit,
Yeah.
as opposed to being given clear direction that now she can move, okay? So we're gonna tweak these two things, we're gonna make them a little more concrete, and then we're gonna kind of just build off of that, okay?
Okay.
So what I'm gonna have you do first is, we're gonna digress from sit, and I'm gonna have you just bring your treat down to Josie's nose.
Okay. Come here, Josie.
And I'm gonna have you move your hand just like slowly and like lure Josie out of that sit position with your hand and get her to stand again. Yep. And slowly back. Right, slowly back. Now feed. Okay. So what we have to teach Josie is that there's options, and we want her to learn how to start troubleshooting and thinking.
Okay.
And what happens when you reward the sit a lot is the puppies will just always opt for sit and think that's the answer for everything. And we want her to think that there's a multitude of answers.
Okay.
Okay. So again, I'm gonna have you bring that treat down to her nose again. And then slowly lure back. Now feed. Oh, not yet. Sorry, not yet. Yep. Slowly back. Mm-hmm. There. Good. We're going to try that 3 more times. There. Good. One more.
We're distracted. Hey, come here. What's under there? Oh, there's a stick under here, which is really fun. Come here. What do you have? Come here. Anything else? What? What? I think she's tired. Come here. Ready?
Good. Very good. So we're essentially teaching her to stand from sit, okay, which is just another option.
Yep.
So now I'm going to have you do the same thing, but be ready. What you're going to do is you're going to lure her into a stand, feed, and then immediately reload and present her with food. And you're going to just start making like a circle shape, and Josie should follow your hand in that shape, okay? Good. Just like that. Good. One more. And feed. Good. Now we're gonna do is same thing, but try doing like a figure. You're gonna lure her into a stand and then try doing like a figure eight shape. Very good. Feed. Okay, we're gonna repeat that 3 more times, and I'm gonna have you interchange circles with figure eights.
Okay. Didn't quite get that one.
Good.
Good job. That was good. Ready? Good job.
Good. One more time.
Good girl. Good job. Keep going. How was that?
All right, that was good. So what we're doing here is building Josie's nose. So we tend to train using eyes, like when like look at the treat type of approach, and you really want to utilize that nose of hers. Okay. Of course, the dog's strongest scent is that nose, and this helps. In my opinion, I've been doing this with puppies for the longest time now. Is like cognitive development, helping them to troubleshoot, problem solve, and also just if in the future you're trying to teach her something more advanced trick wise, this creates a really good foundation. It looks really simple, right? You're doing circles and figure eights, but then I start to change it, like luring the dog, through chairs, through your legs, because if you're wanting a therapy dog, or you're trying to build her up, you want to get her comfortable with things and moving through things and stuff like that where she's not phased. Okay. And this is like the real basic foundation for that. So we essentially taught her to stand from a sit and to follow her nose. Okay. So now what we're going to do is same process, but as you're luring her, without saying the word sit, I'm going to have you come to a point during the lure where you're going to just slowly pull up. Okay. And Josie should give that sitting response.
Okay.
Okay. Questions? Right. Go ahead. Good. Let's try that 4 more times. And then do a longer like lure with the figure eights and the circles. Good.
Lazy.
There she goes. Good. Good. 2 more.
Do it again. Okay. She's getting lazy.
Yeah. So keep it closer. There you go.
No. We're going to start over. Stand up.
Go ahead and feed. Good. So since that one took longer, if we put too much gap between the rewards, she'll get frustrated and lose interest.
Okay.
So even though that one took longer, I feed her right away to keep her interested in the game.
Okay.
Good.
No. Come on, Lacey. I think she's getting tired, frustrated. Come on. She's like not even looking at me anymore.
What are you using for your training treat?
These are 100% beef liver treats. These are recommended.
Do you happen to have like a cheese stick or something?
Yeah, we can get that.
Yeah, could we try that?
Yeah, give me 1 minute.
Sure.
Okay. You ready? Oh, we are stoked about this. Josie, look at this cheese. Come here. Come here. Josie.
Now she wants liver treats.
Now she's ready. All right. You just need a break. Ready?
Oh yeah. Good. And we'll try one more.
What?
And I'm gonna have you, when you're moving your hand, as best you can, keep it right in front of that nose.
Okay. Want some more cheese, Josie?
Better. Very good. Okay. So the reason why I'm doing this is so that with some puppies, they learn to kind of just assume the sit, and they'll just start offering it or prematurely offering it. And by you keeping her with this lure and then pulling up, you know it's happening when you're cueing it. Okay. So now we're going to add in two things. We're going to add in the word break, and we're going to add in the word sit. Okay. So what we're going to do here is when you place Josie into a sit, when you're doing that lure to get her to stand up, Right when you see Josie stand up, you're going to say the word break and you're going to give her a little treat. And then you're going to quickly reload, do the lure, and then when you're ready, cue the word sit just before you pull your hand up.
Okay. Ready? Break. Good job. Good job. Dropped it. I don't know if she dropped the treat. I don't know if she actually got that.
That's okay. Just get her attention again. Yep. Good.
Oh no! I messed that one up. That was me.
It's all right.
Sorry.
Welcome to training the puppy.
It's slippery. Ready? Okay, we're gonna try that one again. Ready? Break. Good job. Nope. Sit. Yes.
Good.
Do I sit after she sits or before she sits?
Just before you lift your hand for
Got it.
the cue.
Got it. Okay. Ready? Break. Yes. Oh, sorry. Sit.
Good.
Ready?
3 more.
Break. Sit.
Good.
Good job. We like cheese treats, don't we? These are way better, huh? Way better. Ready? Break. Yes. Sit. Yes. Good job. That was
One
good.
more.
Ready? Gotta get a little bit more. Okay. Ready? Break. Yes. Sit. Yes.
Very good. Very good.
Good job.
So what we're going to do here is I'm going to have you position yourself in the middle of that area.
Okay.
And you may have to interchange from hand to hand, but I want you to lure Josie like around your body and have her sit to your left, to your right, between your legs, and then in front of you, and then facing the opposite ways. Does that make sense?
Yes. The opposite ways one makes less sense to me. Can you explain that one?
So like, let's say Josie sits on your left. She's here, right? This is her head.
Yeah.
When you do the opposite, she's going to be facing the other way on your left. Does that make sense?
So on my left, facing behind me?
Correct. So she'll be right next to you, but she'll be facing the opposite way.
Got it. Okay, I get it. I get it. Ready? So you want me to kind of have her go around me and then sit here?
Correct.
Okay, ready?
Good.
Yes. Sit. Yes.
Good.
Good job. Ready? Break. Sit.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
That was good. That was so good. Ready? Sit. Yes.
Very good. Let's try 2 more.
Ready? Sit. Yes. All right. That was good. Ready? Sit. Yes.
Beautiful. Very good. So the reason why I'm having you do this is the command sit means sit no matter where you are or what you're doing. Okay. If you always train the sit in front of you, dogs will literally, like, you'll say sit and Josie will come walking over and she'll sit right in front of you. Okay. But it means to put her butt down wherever she's at, right?
Yeah.
So what we're trying to teach her is to not get so stuck on a certain position in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as just using your body as a reference. And there's one thing that you did that I really liked is when you had Josie come from your left side in front of you and you had her sit on your right side, you twirled her inwards and she pivoted inwards and she sat right next to you. And I said, oh, wow, that was a nice one. Okay. The reason why I like that is because of the way she was moving her body. Is you're teaching her body mechanics. Okay, so puppies have real dopey mechanics, right? Like the way they walk around and stuff. So here you're just teaching her how to use her body and how to shift and follow that scent and really using that brain so that in the future, if you want to teach more advanced things, you have a really good foundation to go from. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what we're going to move towards is the sit, not the sit command, the down command. Okay. So go ahead and just show me a down again real quick with Josie. Good. And then bring the treat back to her nose and slowly go up to bring her into a sit. Good. Feet right there. And then back into a down. Good. And then back to her nose. And you're going to slowly pull back and up to put her into a stand.
Nope.
Right there. Okay. So I'm going to have you try that again. So when she's on the ground, you're going to go more so up and back towards you as opposed to up to a sit and then back.
Okay. Not looking at me anymore.
Let's see. Try going up into the sit.
Come on, lazy.
Go ahead and feed that. And then lure her back into the down and then try into the stand again.
Yes.
There, feed. Perfect. Very good. let's see if we can try that 2 more times with the stand from the down position.
Oh.
It's okay, good.
Oh. That was good. Ready? Down. Ready?
Good. Very good. So kind of like with the sit, you know, she went to that down position and then like the brain locks up.
Yeah.
Right. And they look seemingly lazy, but they're really like, well, when I go in this position, I get stuff. So why am I not getting more stuff? Right.
Yeah.
And we're just teaching her options. We're teaching her to really use that brain and ultimately to follow your hand, because your hand is what's leading her to the next behavior that's going to get her the reward.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're trying to build that connection here.
Yeah.
The reason for putting that word break into play is to add a very clear definition of when I tell you sit, you do this.
Yeah.
And then when you break, it means you're free to move.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're conditioning that response. So I personally don't say stay with the sit or the down command.
Okay.
Okay, it's implied.
Yeah.
And the way we create that implication is simply through repetition and training. And then there's like more advanced stuff. But I want to teach Josie that when she hears set, it means put the butt down. And then when she hears break, it means now you can move. And it would be the same from, it would be break out of the down and she gets up to, a standing position to move, or a break from the sit position. Okay. So break is the universal release for any command that she's in. If she's in a sit, in a down, and on a place command, in a heel or whatever, break means now you're free and you can go do your doggy thing. Okay, so we're just adding some real clear black and white rules here. Questions so far?
I think that makes total sense. Not yet.
So then what was my next thing? Oh, so I don't know if you noticed, but I was doing everything in repetitions of 5.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason why I do this is it gives you a structure to base your training off of. So most people, when they train their puppies, it's just a bunch of random sits and downs and paws and stays and things like that, right? Is when we're training with puppies using positive reinforcement, you want to think, what's your target? Like, what's the goal for that lesson? Okay, so if I'm working on the sits and I want to build the sits, where she can hold it and I can walk around her and I can leave out the room and stuff. It's not just randomly, like you're doing this, like you're slowly progressing from put your butt down to put your butt down, don't move for 5 seconds, to don't move for 10 seconds, to 20 seconds, to okay, put your butt down, I'm gonna leave real quick, come right back, good, feed, right? Like there's a process to it.
Yeah.
So when we do reps of 5, it gives the owner kind of a real clear, like I did 5 sit stays for 20 seconds, and 3 of them she did well, and the other 2 she didn't do so well. So I'm going to repeat another 5 until I get at least 80% success before I move on to she sits down for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and puppies learn very quickly. Okay. When I train puppies, I train lots of things all at once. But here I'm training you to train your puppy.
Yeah.
Right. So the reason why, with training, you're going to have your goals, but I also want you to think about if you see something that you like and you always reward it. Okay. And you can always shift gears. So like, let's say as you're working with Josie, she gives you her paw and you think it's really cute, so you feed her, right? And then I think, oh, you know what? I'm gonna shift gears instead. I'm gonna work on that, right? Then I forget about so much focusing on the sits and more so like, how can I get her to give me her paw again? And I build that. And the same thing, if I see something during that session that I like, I feed it. But what we're trying to teach Josie is there's a multitude of options, right? Use that puppy brain of yours to figure out what's the option that's going to get me fed right now. And if you see she gets stuck, like when she got stuck with the down and she didn't want to break from it, I said, go to a sit, because I know she knows how to do that. So I went to something easier, and then we reset and try it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So during that process, if you see Josie lock up, and I'd give it maybe 15 to 20 seconds before I decide, okay, let me take a step back and go to something you do know, so that we don't get her overly frustrated or she doesn't get bored and think this is stupid, I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions?
I think that makes sense to me.
What with the sits, I know you said like you can have her stay and you'll walk around, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing you want to do with it is start applying it throughout life.
Okay.
Okay, so like let's say anytime Josie gets a treat or like a bone or an antler, you would reward her. I mean, sorry, you would have her sit first and then reward her with the object.
Okay.
Okay. Now, me preferably, preference wise, I like to create default behavior. So if I bring out an antler for my dogs, they don't like run around for it. They put their butts down.
Yeah.
And they'll wait, right? But I don't have to say sit. It's done by default.
Yeah.
Okay. So
a bit already. Like we definitely see her when when we're prepping meals, she's sitting and waiting, and we don't give her food to her in her crate before she's sitting, and she like doesn't even she can't even look at it or lunge for it and go for it. Like we're definitely trying to reinforce that.
good.
Those are kind of the two main areas. Yeah, other than that, we don't do a ton of like, I don't know. I can't think of many other times where we have like incentive areas, and maybe it's that we need to shift. But like the biggest times where maybe not an incentive, but something that we want to like shift her behavior away from is like if we're all like hanging out on the couch watching TV or something, and she is up there with us, like she'll start to get mouthy and like pay attention to me. So it's not really like an incentive opportunity, or maybe it is. We're not doing it right. But other than
in giving her a default behavior, you mean?
Yeah.
Bless you. So keep that thought in mind with the laying down or like sitting on the couch with her. So anytime, let's say you're going to put the leash on her to go for a walk, you're going to remove the leash. Anytime you go through a door, before you go through the door, anytime you come to a stop, if you're walking out and you hit a red light, those are all times where I have puppies auto sit.
Yeah, we do.
So you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Are you reinforcing those times when you have her sit?
Not with a treat, mostly with praise.
Okay, so you can use her kibble if you don't want to be giving too many treats throughout the day. And just carry a pouch with you. And at the end of every task, like let's say you put her leash on, right? And she approaches you, she puts her butt down, you clip the leash and her collar, and she maintains that sit. At the very end, I reward it.
Stop it.
Okay. So instead of feeding her for actually just doing the behavior, you're feeding her for completing the behavior.
Okay.
So if I'm at a stoplight and we're waiting for it to turn green and she's sitting down the whole time and it turns green, I would reward that and then I go.
Got it. Okay.
So you're rewarding the completion of the task.
Got it.
Okay. And this is just to incentivize her repeating that behavior because, I'm doing this because therapy dog. Okay. Um, is you're trying to create default human or not, I'm sorry, not human, default polite manners where if she wants anything, she would uh, automatically sit as opposed to jump for it or like paw at you for it, things like that.
Yeah.
And it'll make life easier once you get further along to that stage. Okay. When you're laying down or you're sitting on the couch with Josie, there's two approaches. Okay. One approach is if I'm going to sit down and watch TV for a bit, like let's say I'm going to watch a show for 30 minutes, uh, I could pop her on a gentle leader and then have her clipped to the leash, have her lay down at my feet, and then step on the leash to shorten it a bit. So if Josie tries to get up, she's not going to get very far. Okay. And then when she lays back down again, I simply reward her and I just repeat that process as I'm watching TV. Okay. So what we're trying to teach her is when we're doing this activity, I want you to do this, right? So that's very specific. That's lay down at my feet. Okay. That's obedience. The second approach would be I'm just hanging out on the couch with Josie, and if she starts acting up and wanting or demanding more attention through mouthing, I correct it. Okay. So you're just teaching her, like right now we're sitting down watching TV, and you can hang out with us, and I don't care what you do, but don't nip at me or don't try to initiate play because that's not the time for play right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the benefit to each of them is the more controlled down is like if you take her somewhere, to, maybe like a hospital or a children's hospital, and you need Josie to lay down and not move, that's obedience.
Yeah.
Okay. The other part of it is teaching her just not to jump on people or not to be, mildly demanding stuff because, if you take her somewhere and she's a therapy dog and she starts pulling at their sleeve or something, demanding attention, that's not allowed. That's not appropriate for a therapy dog, right? So it's really a blend of both. You have control, but then you also have taught her that behavior itself isn't acceptable, despite the fact that she's a puppy, despite the fact that, maybe she's getting bored and wants attention.
Yeah.
Because if we reinforce it with something else,
yeah.
She may become more demanding, thinking if I nip at you or whatever, if I mouth your hands, you'll give me something in exchange. So I've learned to do this behavior if I want something.
Yeah, got it.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
It's a blend of both. There's no right or wrong here.
Got it. It's got to be. That's fair. One thing I was talking with Maddie about yesterday is, so there's kind of two parts to this question. On the one hand, you mentioned like chewing on sleeves and stuff, and she does a little bit of that where she'll like get a sleeve. It's a chew toy. It's so much fun. And Maddie recommended that we kind of like pry her mouth open and like hold her mouth and kind of like get her to let go, rather than just kind of like bonk her or whatever. That works. I found that works when it's like when she's like holding our sleeve. Sometimes. Where we're struggling a little bit more is like with the mouthiness. Usually like we'll kind of correct her either with the pet corrector or with like the touch or the bonker, and she'll like stop for a minute and kind of like look around and either go to the other person and mouth on them or come right back at it or retaliate. She's definitely gotten into some of the retaliation phase where she'll like get snarly and obnoxious. And then we kind of like put her down on the ground, like this is over. But she does kind of come back to it. She gets persistent when she gets sassy. So I wanted to ask you about that. Like, should we just kind of like stay the course and keep doing the corrections? I'm wondering if we're like doing it wrong. Maddie like gave me some pointers on some of the touch specifically yesterday. She was like, okay, here's how you do it and you do it here. And she like let me know that I was doing it right.
Right.
So that was helpful.
When it comes to correcting things like that, right? Let's say you use the touch, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, you want to learn to how do you say, kind of temper the correction to what's appropriate to Josie, right?
Yeah.
So if I give her, let's say she's chewing on my sleeve, the problem with, closing her mouth is that it's like another dog wouldn't close Josie's mouth,
Yeah.
right? So we're trying to replicate as much as possible how a dog would correct Josie.
Yeah.
So I'm more on par with, like she said, the hand correction, the touch.
Yeah.
Is I let the puppy continue the behavior. And if I correct Josie on a 2 to a 3 and she stops and she jumps right back, that tells me that 2 to 3 wasn't as strong of an aversive to get her to deter the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go to a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
Right. And then you might see she jumps right back. And and this is really common, is since you're a human, you're logical.
Yeah. And
you're going to think, like, do you really need that firm of a correction just to get you to leave my sleeve alone? Mm-hmm. Right? Because she's just chewing your sleeve. Like, it's nothing, like, it's not the end of the world, right? But to Josie, she may need a very firm correction to stop doing such a mundane action.
Yeah.
Okay. And the way you can tell you've corrected a puppy correctly is it's pretty night and day. And I have a video that I'm going to send you. I think I just uploaded it. And I'm working with a 5-month-old golden doodle with a prong collar. And it's the second class. And you see the puppy jumping and acting out with the owner. And I take the puppy and I do something very subtly. And he just cuts the crap and sits down for a good while. And then he acts up again. And I do something and he sits down for a good while. Like minutes go by. Whereas with the owner, seconds and jumping and mouthing and barking and pulling, right? And then it goes to show you just the difference in how we're correcting and the difference in response that I get from the puppy itself, okay? So the first thing when someone tells me we correct the puppy and it comes right back to the behavior, I just go, the aversive is not strong enough.
Okay.
And I'm gonna send you a playlist of videos that I created as well about the mother dog correcting the puppies to give you a visual, okay? Because you're also thinking, retriever, golden, very sweet, right? Like, why would she need such a harsh correction? But it's because she's still a dog at heart.
Got it.
Okay. Like, people are more inclined to correct a Cane Corso or a Rottweiler firmly because of what the breed represents.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So then the softer dogs get away with stuff because people are thinking, well, Goldens are known for being sweet and submissive.
Yeah, I'm not averse to correcting her. I think I find that, like, even when I'm mad and I feel like I'm like cut it out, like, pretty serious, I don't know if like doesn't take it totally seriously. Or I was wondering, with my question with Maddie was like, am I doing this at the wrong part of her body? Am I like not doing it strong enough? Like, where's I feel like my mind's in the right place, that like she's a dog and she needs correction. It's maybe more I don't know.
It's the intensity.
It's the intensity, you think?
Yeah. So with puppies, you don't have to worry so much about being specific to what spot. Like, the best spot is between the ribs and the butt, because it's a soft area. There's no protection. But since they're so small, you can get away with, like, pretty much all over. I just stay away from here. Okay? Yeah. And actually, what I have my clients do is, if you put up, are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and put up your left hand like this. And then with your right hand, go ahead and make that touch shape. And just touch your left hand like this. Okay? And increase that intensity.
Yeah.
Can you feel as it starts to get uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Right? So what I have people do is they'll think to themselves 2, and they'll give themselves a 2. And then I'll tell them 5. And then I'll give a 5. Right? And it starts to help them understand the intensity that they're delivering. Okay? So that's one thing. The second thing is, almost every person that does this, when I tell them, give the puppy a 7, they know, and they'll do a 7, right? No problem. But as soon as I say do it to the puppy, whoop, it's real subtle. Okay. So that's something to be aware of. And I even suggest doing this with Eric, where you put your hand up and you tell him, give me a 2.
Yeah.
Right. And he gives you his 2, and you start to, it helps you learn and understand intensity. But then you have to apply it according to Josie. Okay. So to give an example, I have a chow mix who's very soft. She's a very soft personality.
Yeah.
The 2 that I give to my pit bull for a correction is a 10 to her.
Okay.
But she's so soft.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to adjust my intensity for her personality and for my pit and for my chihuahua, because they're all different.
Yeah.
So a 10 to her would be a 2 to my pit, you know?
Yeah.
So for Josie, you know, even though you may think like I gave her a 5, it might have really been a 2 to her in terms of how she perceives it. Okay. And then that helps you kind of learn and gauge the pressure or the intensity of the corrections you give her.
Got it.
Okay. And it's a skill set. Like I've been doing this for, 10 years. So when I come in, I know, and my preference is to overcorrect intensity wise rather than undercorrect, because then the puppy will start to play games.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, well, you'll correct me 3 times before you give me a firm correction. So I'm going to mess with you,
Hold on. She's wandering off.
No, you're fine.
Probably in the bathroom. I think she went all the way upstairs.
Oh, really? A little runaway puppy?
Yeah. She doesn't need to go to the bathroom. Josie. Oh, we're full rogue. What are you doing? Ugh.
There she is.
She's like, what? I don't know.
I know.
Burp.
Did you have another question?
No, that was my.
Sorry, it looked like you cut out there. Did you say that was your only one?
Yeah, that was my only one.
Okay. So I'll send you those videos, and definitely seeing them, I think, will help you just see what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
There should be a considerable shift. Okay, whether you're doing, if you do the pet corrector and you're like, yeah, like she just keeps coming back, then I go, okay, don't worry about that. Then if you do the hand correction, the thing about the hand correction is that it can always intensify it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've had people in the past where, dogs are tough, puppies are tough. And I actually had a client, they had a 3 or 4 pound teacup Pomeranian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tiny little dude. And the owner would correct them, and he'd go skidding like 3 to 4 feet, and he'd come right back barking at him. Like he wouldn't stop. And he's like, Jesse, like, these are intense. And I'm like, I understand. I was like, but your dog's personality is that stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter that the dog was 3 to 4 pounds. He was just that stubborn, So don't be discouraged if you find you're giving a level 10 correction and you're still having issues. Then we got to look at other approaches.
Okay. That makes sense.
But, it's all part of the learning process. There's nothing here that I would say is concerning where I'm like, you know what, you really want to get this out the way now.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is like a lot of the stuff that I think we're seeing is totally normal puppy stuff. Like overall, she's a really good, pretty calm dog. Like this is about what we can. So
yeah, so that gives you some gray area, because I have another puppy that I'm working with now, and I'm like, you have to be firm with that puppy, because it's going to be a jerk if it grows up without being disciplined.
The only other thing we have run into is we had some friends over over the weekend, and I have one friend. I think I need to be stricter with my friends. I've told her she's encouraging bad behavior. She like wants the puppy to jump on her. She like loves the biting. She like is even when she's saying no, she's like, oh, Josie, no. And I'm like, like you gotta like go harder. And so I think at the, like, Josie was like so exhausted by the end of it, like loves her, but also like she's really encouraging some bad behavior.
Correct.
I mean, what I want to make sure that I'm doing, should I correct when, I mean, obviously I need to like have stronger conversations with my friends. Like you can't, like, if
That's
she's
correct.
and you put her down and stuff like that. But I mean, is there ways, especially if my friends don't understand how to correct her properly, does she still respond the same way if I were to like kind of come in and say like, there's where.
So what would happen is you can correct Josie for the behavior, but then if you leave the room, right, for like 10 minutes or so, she's going to act up, and when you come back, she's going to behave herself. Okay, which, you know, and it's a more complicated conversation because it's like it's not your friend's responsibility, right, to like correct your puppy.
Yeah.
At the same time, the way dogs do things, they correct each other. Like they have no problem putting each other in their place. So technically, in their world, your friend would correct them, right?
Yeah.
But making them correct Josie appropriately, the extent that she's needed, is more likely not going to happen.
Yeah. Not what
Right?
most people are up for.
But what's really most important is that Josie does behave when you're present. And because I keep thinking about therapy dog.
Yeah.
You know, is that as long as you're consistent, when Josie's with you, she'll be consistent.
Yeah.
Okay, that it wouldn't be totally detrimental if your friend ignores you, but yeah, you want to have a firmer conversation. Say like, look, we really have high hopes for Josie, and you're inhibiting that, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, doing your best. You know, when other people come into play, that's where things get complicated.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I think I
so
just like let my friend know, like, if you're gonna do this, you can't hang out with my dog
no,
until.
yeah, that's exactly what the conversation is. Like, it's either you expect my rules, respect them in my house, right?
Yeah.
And you ignore Josie. If you don't want to correct her, ignore her. Let me do what I'm going to do, or correct her and not reinforce the behaviors. That's exactly the conversation. It's just, you know, whether or not you want to actually have it, right? Because it's, you know, it's we feel bad, things like that. So
Yeah, I do, but it's also like that's not gonna get us to the goal of getting her to therapy dog status if with every new person she thinks that she can jump and bite and
correct.
be obnoxious. So
But otherwise, I think you're doing well. You know, things can always be corrected, you know, at some point.
yeah,
But definitely starting now is pivotal. Okay.
that works. Well, I appreciate it. I know we're a little bit over.
You're
Thank
fine. Yeah, if you need anything else, you let us know. Otherwise, for this week, your homework is just doing that exercise, making it a bit more structured, um, incorporating the break command, and then feel free to build on that,
Okay.
however you'd like. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much,
All right.
Jesse.
Take care.
Bye.